Can you hear me? Anushak finished industriously tearing the long strip of meat into bloody threads and sucking it down. Not for the first time, Jorgen wondered at the bird's ability to eat things without either chewing or choking.
"Where were we, anyway?"
croaked the bird as he finished eating. He was already eyeing the last strip of meat in the little silver salver. Weisrangara's favourite messenger, or so Jorgen assumed he was, had been here for nearly an hour already. The civil servant frowned down at his notes and realised he could barely make head or tail of them. He'd just been writing random words and fragments of phrases down for the last 15 minutes or so. He picked one of the words he could read and made the best of it. "You were talking about names," said Jorgen, "with your mouth full."
"Names?"
The blackbird ruffled his feathers, eyes glinting.
"That's right. You people get so very antsy about names, worrying about true names and the like, as if that's even really a thing. I mean, what even is a name?"
Jorgen knew the bird well enough to realise he was being asked a rhetorical question and simply wrote "name" again and drew a ring around it.
"There's two types of names. The names you give yourself that say who you are, and the names other people give you that says who they think you are. They're both powerful, don't get me wrong, but all the best people have half a dozen names at a time, most of which they don't ever know themselves. Even a mortal, one of you people, manages about 7 or 8 decades, right? Even a mortal will go through a score of names or more in their life, not one of which catches anything like their essential nature. Altogether, maybe. Probably not. The wise know that names really matter, but that they're also unimportant. Both at the same time."
As a good son of Wintermark, Jorgen bridled at this. "A hero has a name," he quoted angrily. Anushak spread his wings slightly, in a conciliatory way. Then his attention slid sideways to that last strip of meat, and he grabbed it in his beak, tossed his head back, and swallowed it in a series of head-jerking movements.
"I'm not saying they don't," he said when he'd finished, "but let me ask you, do you think my mistress calls herself Weisrangara? Do you think that's what the Tetrarch's people call her? Or the Sikinurmi? The people of the shadow? No, of course not. When you give something a name, you connect with it, and it connects with you just a little bit. Do you think the brother of wizards gets angry when the Sumar call him the Seducer and warn people not to talk to him? That he doesn't wriggle with joy every time someone gives him a bad name, just like he does when he gets a good one? It's complicated and easy. If you don't know someone's name, give them one. If they don't like it, they'll correct you, and you can use that name instead. Done."
Jorgen floundered. What did all this have to do with the plenipotentiary of the Winter Archmage? While he rechecked his notes, Anushak picked up the shallow little dish and turned it over, obviously on the off chance he'd missed some meat strips. He dropped it with a disappointed air when it became clear he had not.
"Well, this has been nice," he said, readying to take flight. "Always good to talk, Jorgen."
"Wait, you haven't—" The civil servant flicked through his notes. Nothing. "Anushak, you haven't told me anything about the parley."
"Oh, there isn't one," said Anushak airily. "Not with my mistress, anyway. I was just in the area and feeling peckish."
Jorgen blinked at him. The bird stared back, unrepentant.
"What? You only think I come and go at the bidding of my mistress? I'm not just a messenger, you know. I have a life, I have friends and outside interests. They wouldn't call me Anushak the Delightful if I spent my whole time bringing bad news, would they?"
The herald took wing, sweeping out through the open door of the tent, causing an indignant changeling to have to duck even lower than usual to get into the hub. Jorgen considered tearing the pages of irrelevant scrawl out of his notebook, but then thought better of it. He put it away, slipped the pen back behind his ear, and went to see how he could help the Dornish person with the antlers. Overview. Every season, each of the 6 archmages may send a single plenipotentiary message to an Eternal of their realm. The Eternals are bound to respond, although not always in a way the archmage may wish. Sometimes they arrange personal meetings. Often they send emissaries to treat with the magicians of the Empire. Sometimes they take direct action in response to requests made by the archmage. Occasionally they decline formally, although they will rarely pass up the opportunity to explain why they will not speak to the Empire at this time. As the summer solstice approaches, 6 Eternals have responded to invitations to parley via their emissaries. The Peregrine Night. As summer lengthens towards the solstice, a lone figure arrives at the hub. Their leather garb and feathered brows might have caused them to be mistaken for a Navarre or Suak changeling, but they are in fact an emissary of the Peregrine Night. They bear a message for the Archmage of Summer on behalf of their master. Speaking quickly, they refuse to answer questions. He who was once the Lord of the Forest of Arden is now an outlaw prince, renouncing all claim to the land and title of the past. The Empire chose to deny them the power of Foxwise, but there are other routes to noble grandeur in the Summer Realm than the courtly games of the Fields of Glory. The lone hero has struck out on his own into the Badlands of the Summer Realm, a place of majestic plains rolling into the far horizon, awe-inspiring canyons and towering hills. Yet the Bandit King does not seek to claim this land as his dominion, for the wildlands cannot be tamed. Rather, he now walks his own path wherever the wind takes him, accompanied only by his loyal companions. The masterless warrior has taken back control of his own destiny, and is prepared to parley with the Archmage. As such, Hayark will come to the Hall of Worlds at 2 p.m. on Saturday, under terms of formal parley. They will speak with the Archmage of Summer, and with others gathered there, about the future. Make no mistake, though, there will be no boons. Part of the discussion will be about whether there is any future for the Empire and the Windcrier. It may be that the established force of power and control in the realm of Katazar is destined to become the enemy of the Wandering Sword, who is a brother to all who live as heroes in their own name and by their own strength. The words tumble out of the messenger, who seems to become more agitated as they speak them. The Highborn injured the Hunter of Beasts and cost him his kingdom and his dignity. He was a poor cousin at the court of the Queen of the Penance, and he tarried there for too long, losing his strength in his regrets. Summer looks forward to the horizon, not to past glories, says the herald. Given all this, they say, much of the desire Sharp Talon had for rulership, responsibility, and authority has left him. In truth, he has more interest in those who make a name for themselves outside the suffocating bonds of law, false judgment, and the expectations of others. He will not be a pawn again, and if the Archmage seeks to use him in their feud with the Unicorn Prince, they will learn that the hard way. The pettiness of politics and scheming, the witless pursuit of vengeance for petty slights, that is not fit business for a warden of renown who seeks to live the life of an honourable marauder on the wild road. There are other songs in summer than those of kings and queens, and with that the herald spins on their heel and departs. The Queen of Locks. Shortly after the spring equinox, a metal-skinned herald of the autumn realm emerges from the Imperial Regio. In fine brocade and an outrageous hat, they might be mistaken for a League citizen until one looks a little closer. They proceed through Anvil, taking in the sights and pausing to chat amiably with Imperial citizens along their lazy route to the hub. Once there, though, they are all business. They are a messenger employed by President Orlando, here on behalf of the City of Locks Benevolent Association. The 5 Pillars have taken counsel with the Princess of Weirs, and respond on behalf of the City of Locks to the Archmage's plenipotentiary. The herald informs the nearby civil servants that Basilia Brazen and the 5 Pillars have been most pleased to receive the requests of the Empire, the second such missive received within the space of a year. They have also, the herald states, with a great deal of glee, immediately begun fighting about whose interests are to take priority. There is one minor matter which is quickly resolved. The business with the tower in Kalperheim, and anything that may or may not have been seen prowling around there, is nothing for the Empire to worry about. If whatever might be present there was capable of doing any great harm, it would doubtless have done so by now. Until matters change, it is nothing for the magicians of the Empire to worry about. The Herald does not invite questions, moving on instead to more serious topics. 3 of the requests sent by the proxy Archmage, it seems, are relying on the same scarce resource: access to the mysterious chamber known as the Conspirators' Congress. The conflict over this matter has caused all manner of upheaval on the streets of the city, with each of the parties seeking to secure their lady's favour in this matter. A fool's errand, the Herald blithely opines. Basilia Brazen favours only those who get results. As such, it will be down to the Empire to resolve this conflict. The 3 options are as follows. Overseer Hook offers to get representatives of the Empire a meeting with one of the factions of Asavean mages identified by the Sevenfold Path in Winter 386. Mysterious hints by masked dilettantes are no substitute for looking someone you suspect in the eye and squeezing them for information. Subtly, of course. Boss Kalaruk offers to introduce the Empire to representatives of major criminal cartels in the Asavean archipelago. These hardened criminals have no love for the plenum and little care for the priesthood, and could potentially be persuaded to provide assistance in the Empire's plan to incite an uprising, if there was a reasonable expectation of profit. And Facilitator Cage gives no public details on what her offer entails. He only states that the proxy Archmage knows full well what was asked for, and what use it would be to the Empire. For simplicity, however, Cage proposes they use the codename The Bright-Eyed to identify them when discussing matters with the Conclave. The conflict can be resolved simply: a declaration of acceptance from the Conclave stating which of the city's 3 offers the Empire wishes to take up. The City of Locks will then arrange for the meeting to take place at the autumn equinox. When a civil servant points out that the Empire was told that Hook and Kalaruk's requests were not mutually exclusive, the Herald shrugs. They aren't mutually exclusive. Regardless of which offer the Empire takes up first, they can simply use another plenipotentiary to ask for the opportunity to take advantage of one of the others whenever they wish. They just can't do all 3 at the same time. When the civil servant observes that the wording might have been slightly misleading, the Herald just rolls their eyes and moves on. Other beasts. On the matter of the Manticore, the pleasant face that the Lord of the City wore at the time that deal was struck is long past. Nevertheless, the Manticore that calls itself the Earl of the Groves made its deal with power unadorned by pleasantries, that which is known to some as the Beast of the Locks, and whose true nature is for only the Lady of Locks to know. As such, it remains extant, and the city will continue to uphold its end of the bargain, providing the Manticore with enchantments and crafted wonders to sate its need for power, until the favour is no longer in the city's possession. It is a shame, as it is quite a taxing provision, but that is simply the nature of the deal that was struck long ago, a deal to which Basilia Brazen, as the Lady of Locks, remains bound. Now, as it happens, that favour is likely to be held in an old chamber over the summer solstice, in a distant corner of the city's labyrinth. The chamber is a quizzical construction once attached to and associated with that deception that was once called Mason. Unfortunately, that chamber is going to open at 12:30 on Saturday of the solstice, which would allow Imperials to enter and steal the favour, which would obviously be terrible. As such, a guard will be sent to the Hall of Worlds to ensure that nobody attempts to enter the chamber. As long as there's no chance of them being bribed, 4 thrones ought to do it, then there's absolutely no possibility that the Knight Protector of Autumn, or whoever it is, can get into the chamber and get a chance to steal the favour. If they were to find their way in, which could only happen if the City of Locks employs a totally dishonest guard, then there is one more note of caution. As of late, the Beast of Locks, when it roams the city, has taken to sleeping in that chamber too. It seems to enjoy being close to the favour. Probably it will not wake. Probably. Still, the wary traveller might wish to bring some green iron and dragonbone as a treat for the beast to chew on, if it were to wake. Which it won't, surely. A personal note. On a more personal note, Basilia herself offers an opportunity to the Archmage of Autumn. Some years ago, the City of Gold and Lead offered to arrange an autumn market whenever the Archmage requested such a thing. Basilia wishes the Archmage to know that if they use the power of plenipotentiary at the summer solstice to request it, the City of Locks will facilitate a market to take place in the Hall of Worlds, offering a range of goods and services from the 5 pillars, and perhaps even a couple of vendors from the other cities, prepared to pay an appropriate amount for pitches of their own. The offer is only available at the summer solstice. It may be made again at a future date, of course. The Marshal of Flame. As spring slips into summer, an emissary from the shadowed flame proudly appears at Anvil, with skin the colour of polished ruby and hair like charcoal. They wear a peculiar mismatch of winterfolk and imperial orc garb. They stride purposefully down to the hub, sidestepping attempts to intercept them, and as soon as they reach the civil service desk, they deliver their message in a booming voice. The scribe of burning names is gladdened to be invited to parley with the Archmage of Night, but declines the offer. However, instead, they will send a small cohort of their chosen warriors to Anvil during the summer solstice as guests of the Archmage, and crucially, of the shadowed torchbearer. They will arrive in the Hall of Worlds at around 10 in the morning on Saturday, and make their way to the forge to meet with the two. Night Sword has issued many instructions to its warriors. They are to hear the report of the shadowed torchbearer and learn how the flames of passion have been stoked in the Empire over the last year, and offer reward or punishment as appropriate. The issue of communication between the Monarch of the Inferno and her representative to the Empire can be resolved, probably as part of a discussion about the Fanes. Before anyone can ask what discussion or why it would concern multiple Fanes, the herald barrels ahead. It is not just the shadowed torchbearer who should attend this gathering. Raphael Barossa Dapulian, currently a freelance troublemaker at large, has done much to earn the favour of the tempestuous heart. His actions regarding the Assavean plenum are everything that could have been hoped, but anything worth doing is worth further escalating. He should come, bring others who wish to see the children of Assav consumed by the flames, and speak of how the sparks might be fanned into a greater inferno. He could also be helpful for the Fane discussion. He seems to be good at finding things. Nobody even bothers trying to ask for clarification. Finally, the herald declares, there will be no discussion of the boons the midnight firestorm gives to the Jotun. They are gifts granted to the Eternal's friends in the West, and distributing to any who ask for them would simply cheapen them. The Unshackled have their fighting pits, and Janon respects that they have chosen their own path to heighten their sensitivity to the voices of their ancestors. The warriors will be interested in seeing the fighting pit at Anvil, and discussing the Scarsind College of Pit Fighting with Stone-sworn Cricks, if they are available. Vicious Little Pearls. The all-consuming heart has also been made aware of certain vicious black pearls turning up around the place. He has no idea what they are or what they mean, but he knows that he hates them. The shadowed torchbearer should get hold of as many as possible so the herald can destroy them. There will probably be a reward of some sort, the exact nature of which will be determined by the whim of the flame of the ancestors. An imperial civil servant attempts to interrupt to mention the fact that other beings have indicated that carrying more than 13 at a time might be a bad idea, but any attempt to provide context or nuance remains a fool's errand. Just getting the herald to listen to anyone else talking proves to be remarkably difficult. Kindling Cadre and the Sun Chamber. On to the next thing. In addition to the main bunch of heralds, another group called the Kindling Cadre will be coming to Anvil to talk to the reformed Sun Chamber. They're expected to arrive around 12:30 on Saturday and will be heading for the Senate. It seems that the Rainbow Conflagration is enthused about the restoration of this imperial sodality and wishes to see if there is any way he might champion their cause. There might even be gifts. Historical records note that the Kindling Cadre have not been seen in the Empire for nearly 60 years. During the Orc Rebellion, they offered boons to and fought alongside the former slaves in Savos and Tassato. Inspiring armies. And finally, on that last matter the Archmage raised, the Muse of Fire is enthusiastic, but wants to make sure it understands what is being asked of him. As usual, any general who wishes for the servants of Janon to fight alongside them is welcome to call on them in their orders. It seems that a few generals take advantage of this opportunity each season, receiving a little aid from the passionate warrior poets of the Night Realm. Yet there are other gifts the Night Sword can offer. If the Archmage offers the Pillar of Fire an opportunity to sow discordant passions and ambitions among the Imperial armies, set them on each other to see who burns brightest, they said. The Eternal is very interested in what this opportunity might involve. Encouraging the smokeless fire to do so will require a little more effort. A declaration of acceptance, asking for the heralds of Janon to fan the flames of pride, ambition, revenge, and rivalry. If this is done, the heralds of the Conflagration Blade invited to fight with the Imperial armies will bring to bear their full power to encourage mortals to embrace their passions. The outcome is utterly unpredictable, but it will certainly be violent. Soldiers in the army will seek to work out their grudges, follow their personal goals, indulge their individual passions, and burn with the dark fire of vengeance, anger, and audacity. This might directly impact the effectiveness of the order the general submits. By accepting Janon's blessing in this way, they surrender control over their situation just as much as their soldiers will. Alternatively, the Burning Key could offer to fan the flames of brighter passions, encouraging the soldiers to celebrate life and battle, embrace glory, heroism, or even passionate virtue. In short, to party hard. If the Conclave instead uses the Declaration of Alignment to ask Janon to support celebration, then for the next year every Imperial General will be able to issue the Passionate Furlough Order. This goes beyond simply asking Janon to accompany their army. The order has the same game effects as solid defense, but crucially, the army will not receive any natural resupply during that season. Instead, they will celebrate and bring others into the territory, into their celebrations. This will provide benefits to the people of the territory where they are stationed, as they squander their pay on the joys of life, wine, good company, song. This will raise morale in the army, and likely that of the people in the territory. Whatever that means, again, it is impossible to predict what effect taking this order might have, or how well they will actually defend in the event they are attacked. The civil service, on learning of these opportunities, advises caution. By its very nature, Janon is a creature of unbounded passion. It encourages others to embrace their personal desires and to ignore laws, traditions, and other constraints on their behavior. Embracing the passions of celebration while on furlough is as likely to have negative outcomes as positive ones. Unleashing such an unpredictable force during a military campaign is potentially a recipe for disaster. The King on the Throne of Chains. The bound king declines a formal parley. Instead, he will be dispatching a trusted senior member of his court, Lord Captain Catanatus, to Anvil to speak on behalf of his knights. As befits a monarch of the Winter Realm, Tharim requests that the captain be treated as a formal delegation from a foreign power. Specifically, he requires that the meeting take place in the Imperial Senate, as if it were an embassy from a mortal power. The Archmage of Winter will take the position of ambassador, seated on the throne. The hand of Tharim Claudia Varkulov Remislav will be seated in the Speaker's chair to ensure all civilities are respected, and to show the hand the respect they are due. The Civil Service have confirmed that the meeting can take place in the Senate at 7:30 on Saturday, but they are clearly not entirely happy about it. The main topic of conversation will be the matter of the murder of Obligatus. The declaration made by the Celestial Arch to condemn the murder of the Herald seems to have been acknowledged as the bare minimum. The Civil Service are able to confirm that the Knights of Tharim have continued their march toward Upwold, arriving in the territory shortly before the summer solstice. They have not had time to cause much trouble yet, but it is clearly brewing. Hopefully, the Archmage will be able to defuse the situation before it gets tragically out of hand. Tharim requires a memorial of some kind be built in the copse of the Bone Birch where the murder took place. It will commemorate not only the foul deeds that took place there, but also the 6 years or more of Tharim's friendship with the Empire. Such a memorial would be an edifice, and while the bound king does not specify any specific amounts, its grandeur cannot help but be seen as reflecting the respect the Empire holds for Tharim. It is worth noting that the memorial might also be a good opportunity to construct a fane for the King in Chains in Upwold, celebrating the services Tharim has performed for the Marchers over the years. Furthermore, Tharim expects the Conclave to support a declaration of acceptance, calling on the magicians of the Marches to work alongside his knights when they scour the marches and nearby lands for those who struck Obligatus down, and deliver them to the tender mercies of the thrice-cursed court for suitable punishment. The Imperial Civil Service again counsel the Archmage of Winter to be very careful around this decision. Let off the leash, the Knights of Tharim could cause significant disruption in the marches. Once the main topic is discussed, there will be other matters to speak of. The status of the traitor queen and the knight betrayer, matters relating to Scaura, the drawing of the contemptible sunken rope's attention to the Bay of Katazar, and hence the protection he might offer against the deep and the dark to any territory whose senator is prepared to humble themselves before the Lord Captain. While he is clearly annoyed, Tharim has not forgotten he is a friend of the Empire. He is aware that the Imperial armies are in the midst of attempting to invade Kroll and have encountered the lake beast there. The boon he offers is simple. Any general who wishes to may beseech Tharim for aid in their orders when fighting the beast. Tharim will send relief to the general he feels offers him the most respect and deference, ensuring that any casualties that the beast causes do not fall on that general's army. They would be protected from the wrath of the beast in a manner similar to the winter's mantle. The Golden Seer. A cheerful little ball of bobbing light meanders through Anvil to the hub 2 months after the spring equinox. In a piping, happy voice, it delivers a message from the seer clad in raiment of gold. The one who sees all declines parley at this time, but has responded to some of the requests made of them. The herald Photismos has been sent to the Savos Symposium on Lighthouses to offer advice and support to the project. They are charged with advising Alien Sweetwater for as long as he continues to explore this matter. The Archmage also asked the Seeker of the Skies to find certain items. The Eternal has responded by offering the services of her heralds to the Magpies, who the Imperial Senate has charged with finding lost things. It will be their decision which of the 3 objects the Archmage has mentioned will be sought. There will, however, be no opportunity for the Shuttered Lantern to call servants of Chimus to a territory, so that Imperial soldiers might search alongside them. While that offer may have been made in the past, she who watches declines to do so at this time. It is the judgment of the Glass of the Heavens that the Empire already has the tools it needs to observe its enemies both with divination and with more mundane means. On a slightly different note, the Watcher of the Winds has become interested in an invitation apparently issued by Serenus Starsong, the astral arcanist, to observe a ritual. She is interested in taking up this invitation. During the summer solstice, she asks the Archmage of Day to bring the astral arcanist to meet with one of her heralds in the Hall of Worlds to receive the Seer's Mark that will permit Chimus to see through them for a short time. This will let the Eternal experience the ritual discussed, and there are various reassurances that this gift of the Lady of the Astral Lens will not harm the astral arcanist. The herald will be in the Hall of Worlds at 7 in the evening on Friday. The herald will paint the mark on the arcanist, if they are amenable. Finally, the herald turns a slightly darker colour as it broaches a somewhat sensitive subject. It appears that at the end of the plenipotentiary the Archmage seemed to suggest that there were other matters that could be discussed in a parley. This is one of the several reasons its mistress has declined to attend or send its heralds to attend such a meeting. The Celestial Eye believes that the ideal plenipotentiary lays out a single, significant matter that the Archmage wishes to gain the aid of the Eternal to address or resolve. A list of multiple requests is worse, but worst of all is a suggestion that the Eternal should turn up to discuss matters. Without specificity, there can be no parley. The magicians of the Empire should not seek to introduce confusion into the simple pattern of plenipotentiary and parley. In the event there has been a misunderstanding, and that is not what the Archmage meant, then no harm has been done, but the point still stands. From Chimus' point of view, the simplest plenipotentiary is one where the Archmage lists perhaps as many as 3 lost things that the Empire seeks. In a case like this, the Eternal can evaluate which items they think are still within the bounds of her sight, and then let the Empire make a decision on which one they should pursue. It will be very rare that Chimus does not respond positively to such a plenipotentiary, and only when the Empire has asked for multiple things that are simply not findable. The Prince of 1,000 Foes. It does not seem to be a herald that responds to the plenipotentiary missive of the Archmage of Spring, but what appears to be a young League Briar. She arrives at the hub and quietly attracts the attention of the Imperial Civil Service. She brings a message from Papa Otek. The Prince with 1,000 Foes accedes to the request for parley and offers to meet the Archmage of Spring if they think there is actually any point. A herald will arrive at the Hall of Worlds at around 6:30 on Saturday evening to take the Archmage and up to 6 other people to meet the Warden of the Woods. In addition to those the Archmage may wish to bring, there are people in the Empire who are friends of Irahara, and they are also invited.
They will receive personal invitations to the meeting, and should likewise turn up at the Hall at Worlds. The Archmage isn't to question their presence. On the matter of the parley, the Archmage wanted tests, which appeared to be just things that the Empire is already capable of doing. The Briar suggests quietly that the Archmage doesn't understand what a test is. The first test the Empire faced was the Barons. The next test is the Sarengrave. How does the Archmage think they are doing so far? The new General of the Griffin's Pride is invited to come speak to Swiftrunner if they wish. They might even be worthy of a boon, but they will need to explain clearly and candidly why the Eternal might be reticent to give them one, and explain why they think they deserve one, and how the people of Dawn understand the world. If it aligns with what Shackle Smasher knows to be true, they may indeed receive the aid of the Eternal to put that understanding into practice. After all, there were more Dawnish folk who fought against tyranny than supported the army that went to crush the Ravin, and that deserves recognition. Likewise, if there are those in Dawn who want aid to transform a boon of the Slaughter Beast, the Archmage can bring them, and they can explain what they want and why they think the Green Guard might want to give it to them. But the main topic of conversation is going to be what the Empire intends in the Sarengrave. Does the Archmage really believe that not cursing people until they die for a whole season is truly a sign that the Empire has learned from its mistakes? The Briar is at pains to be clear. Shackle Smasher is not on the Empire's side here. He is on the side of the people of the Malum, the orcs and humans who call that place home and are caught yet again between two cruel juggernauts who care nothing for them save as playing pieces. His first and only concern is for them. He will help them run, hide, or kill to preserve their lives, regardless of who it is that is bearing down on them with a sword. So, with all that said, there'll be no further aid in Theranin. The Empire chose to abandon the weak, the young, and the elderly. Warren Wise has already offered a little help. The fast-flowing river has already exerted himself to protect those who remain, and told the Empire what more is needed to preserve those lives. The Thorn of the Ancestors can judge what the Empire really thinks about those who are in danger by watching what they choose to do, can he not? There'll be no aid from Leaping Dolphin on the Isles of Assav either. The Empire has given no reason for the Eternal to believe they are doing what they are doing for the people of the islands. They seem to be doing what they always do, making decisions about the lives of others that suit their purposes. The Eternal will aid those who need his help, to protect them from imperial flames as much from the murderous arrogance of the priests. Oh, and the Archmage can reassure the landskeepers. They need not worry about the hairstone. If the Blade of the Holt wishes to draw on their old bargain, he will make sure they know where they are going. What would be the point if he did not? It is not the way of Swiftrunner to trick people like that. He will not reveal its location unnecessarily for any number of reasons, not least because of the risk some Imperial might decide to destroy it out of malice, boredom, or some cruel ambition. Finally, Wise Whiskers will not bargain for friendship like some kind of costermonger. If the Empire considers itself worthy of his friendship, then let them ask for it. The Briar doesn't know anything about a bounty on the throne, but if the Empire wants to be friends, the first thing they might do is remove the interdiction of golden hair icons of Irahara. What do they even mean by this? Plenipotentiary in public. 6 months ago, the prefects of the Conclave prepared a proposal regarding the ability to make the wording of the Archmage's missives public knowledge. The Imperial Conclave has not chosen to embrace this power, but given it is simply a procedural change, the opportunity to do so remains available, unless something significantly changes. The change is discussed in detail in the secret meeting, Wind of Fortune.